I got this nigga done gave me some. So he ended up taking my son, and then he left. I ended up sleeping with a knife that night. It's strength in finding resilience beyond your circumstances. What is up, you guys? I'm Zakia Monet, and welcome to the Finding Your Way podcast, where we share stories about hardships and share ways to not let our circumstances define us. Like you, we're just here to find our way. What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Finding Her Way. My name is Zakia. I go by Zakia Monet on all social media platforms. And welcome to another episode. I know it's been a minute since you've seen this face, but we are back. Every episode that we do a journal prompt, and this journal prompt will be, what is one thing that no one can take away from you? Again, what is one thing that no one, absolutely no one, can take away from you? So you can write it down in your journal. You can write it in the comments. We can talk about it. We can chit chat. You know how I say in every episode, we can chit chat about it. Do what you feel is comfortable for you. So let's get into this episode. And please be advised, we're going to be talking about some things. It's going to get a little deep. It's going to be a little graphic. I'm going to try not to get into too much detail because it is a lot of information. It is a lot to the story. It is a lot, that has happened and that has transpired. As you can read by the title, we're going to be talking about domestic violence, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit of backstory about my experience with it, and what I went through. And at the end, I always give advice. So I'm also going to be giving, we're going to be having a little chat at the end of this episode like we do on every one. So let's get into it. I'm gonna need y'all to bear with me as well, because like I said, I'm going to try not to get into too much detail. I'm going to try not to do too much with it, because I don't want this to be like a bashing thing. I don't want this to be a bashing episode. I just want to tell my truth, because that is, it's a part of me moving towards what I want to do, which is to help women that have been through what I've been through. So in order to do that, you guys have to have somebody to connect with, because if you don't, then it's like you'll be talking to somebody that's like, what can you help me with? Like, how do you know these things? Like, what can you do for me besides, whatever. It's always nice to connect with somebody who has been through what you've been through. So I prayed, like I do every episode, but I especially prayed on this one because it is still a sore subject for me. Although it has been a while since these things and these events have transpired, it is still a sore subject for me, and I'm still going through the process of healing from it, because I think anybody that has been through any traumatic situation, you have a lot of flashbacks, and it's not like a consistent thing as it would have been when the things first transpired, when they first happened. But as the years grow, go on and on and on, you do sometimes have flashbacks about these things. And I'm still, still going through that. I'm still trying to work through all of that. Although I have, worked on the forgiving process, and I'm still not harboring no ill will, because I do still have a child with this person. I just, I still go through these things. So I just wanted to put that out there. But a little backstory, I guess we can start there. I think I gave a little insight about me and who I was, but I didn't really get into too much detail about what I've been through. You guys know that I've lost a child. I have had these different experiences throughout my life, through my childhood and all these things, but I've also experienced domestic violence. And like I said, I don't want this to be a bashing thing. I'm not trying to bash anyone. I don't want that to be, this ain't that. I just want to tell my truth, because this is a part of what I'm trying to do and who I'm trying to reach, the women that I'm trying to reach. So I do want to put this, I do want to tell my story. I met this person. I don't want to say the names. If you know, you know. If you don't, then it is what it is. But it is my child's father. But I met him when I was probably, I think I was 12 when I met him. Um, everything was like, everything was okay in the beginning. For me, there was a lot of hiccups and bumps in the road when we were first getting together because I was talking to other people, but in my mind, when I was talking to, when I would have other boyfriends before that, they were already like, they were doing their own thing on the side, and they were cheating and doing all that other stuff. So I was going into this relationship like this was that. I wasn't thinking this was gonna be anything serious. I was, it just was what it was. I was still talking to other people, and that's just what it was. But he eventually found out that I was talking to other people, and that ended up being a whole thing. So our relationship started off kind of rocky. As it progressed, we ended up getting over that, but we would still have hiccups. Like, it would still be a lot of stuff going on. Like, I don't know, we just couldn't get it right in the beginning. We just couldn't get it right. So my mom would, sit us down and, have conversations with us and like, like, I guess try to be a mediator or whatever, but I don't know. But we will eventually smooth it over and we'll be okay. But then it'll still be like little things going on. But me thinking like every relationship, has their things. Every relationship has their, like every relationship isn't perfect. But that in my mind, I just didn't think nothing of it. I just like it is what it is. So we kept having these little bumps in the road, but we eventually smoothed it out, and it eventually got to where it needed to be. So we would, in the beginning stages, it's like any other relationship. Well, after we got over that hurdle, after that, it was like a honeymoon phase. Like, we were fine, like, talking on the phone all the time, and, like, that's just what it was. But then it started to be, like, it started to be, like, little things would happen here and there. And I'm trying not to drag this story out, so I'm going to be skipping around in this story. But so I can get into the depth of what this podcast episode is going to be about. So yeah, like little things would keep happening. We broke up, we had a break or whatever. He did his thing, he did whatever he wanted to do, and I was just, I guess I really didn't want to deal with nobody. And then I eventually started talking to somebody, and then we ended up getting back. Me and my child's father got back together, and then the rest was the rest. So I'm gonna fast forward this story because I know y'all don't want to. So I'm gonna fast forward this story because I know y'all don't want to be, y'all don't want to listen to this story all day. Because then I really want to get to what I really want to talk about in this episode. So I got pregnant with my daughter at 15. And I had her at 16. But before I got pregnant with her, I'm gonna rewind back a little bit. I was already seeing signs of like the control and all this other stuff because he was always going through my phone. It was always an issue of who I was friends with and who I was talking to, and that was for a while because I did stay with him for a long time. But so I'm going back to when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I found out I was pregnant with her. So when I found out I'm pregnant with her, you go into all these doctor's appointments, or whatever. So one of my doctor's appointments, I found out that I got this nigga done gave me some. So I'm calling him, so I can, figure out like, what's going on. And he flips it back on me, and then it just turns into a whole thing where like I need a DNA test, like the baby probably is not mine, and all this other stuff. It was like a whole thing. It was a whole thing. He did a thing. So we ended up going through that whole process. I was going through that situation with my daughter. I was trying to focus on her, but I was still going through things with him at the time. It was still a control of who I was friends with, who I was talking to, where I was going. He had to know all these things. If I wasn't picking up my phone, because I started working when I was 15. So if I wasn't picking up my phone while I was at work, he was popping up to my job. But at that time, I didn't think nothing was I thought it was cute, like I don't want to pick up my phone. I thought like I know it sounds crazy now, but in my mind, like my man trying to check up on me, like even after I'm going through all this stuff with him. So, he popped up, like I just thought it was cute. I thought it was cute, So fast forward, I ended up having my baby. We're going through this whole situation. He really wasn't there because he was going through his own legal stuff. So he really wasn't there like that when after I had her for a little while. But after he got that taken care of, he started to come up when he could, because I had my baby in Raleigh, North Carolina. So he came up when he could or whatever. And that was that. She passed away. We weren't together when she passed away, but we weren't together when she passed away. But after the funeral, that's when we started reconnecting. And I guess we were connecting over the fact that we both lost our child or whatever. So getting back together after that. So we ended up rekindling the relationship again. And so I ended up getting pregnant again with my son. So I got pregnant with him, and then what happens again? I go to the doctor, and what happens again? I got the doctor's telling me, you got this chlamydia. I'm gonna just go ahead and say what it was. He gave me chlamydia twice, and then this time again, what does he do? I need a DNA test. That's not my baby. Mind you, I wasn't even, this is the only man I'm talking to. I'm still a teenager, so my focus was only school and getting back into school and catching up, because I was behind. I was keeping up, but I was still trying to play catch up, because I missed a lot of school due to me losing my child. So I'm playing catch up in school, and I'm working and all this other stuff. So I don't have time for nobody else. I'm if I was at his house majority of the time, so much so it was a problem in my household. So that was a whole thing. But yeah, so I need DNA test again. That was his reaction again after I'm telling you, you gave me this. For a fact I'm not that kind of girl. Cause even in the beginning when I was talking to different dudes, it was just text. It was never hunching. I was never doing, I was never on that type of time. It was never that. So I'm not that kind of girl. That just wasn't that. So he was trying to just, put it back on. He was just trying to put back on me what he was doing. He was deflecting. So we went through that whole thing again. So we ended up breaking up again, and I was all kind of bitches and hoes and all this other stuff, and so that was that. So then I guess after I had my child, it was a thing because my child was too bright, that everybody was it was a thing that people were saying that he wasn't his and all this other stuff. So he made it was just a whole thing with my kids. It was just a whole thing, and that should have been my red flag. That should have been one of my red flags, but it wasn't. I was still my man. That's just what it was. I be mad, but that was still my man. So fast forward, I had my kids. I had my second child. After I had my second child, I feel like our relationship, it just, I don't want to say it went downhill, but it went somewhere. It didn't go up. It didn't go up because it was just a constant thing where I dragged that relationship out longer than I should have, and I realized that I guess it takes you going through some shit to realize when your time should have been up a long time ago. After I had my kids, as time went on, he just got more and more controlling and more possessive, and it just got to it was just crazy. He was constantly going through my phone. If I wasn't picking up, he was pulling up to my house. He was pulling up to my job. It was always a thing. It was always a thing. But the first time that we had the first time we got into it, it didn't get physical that time, but it was to a point where it almost went there. It was just so crazy. This time I'm talking about in particular, we weren't even together. I was inboxing a guy because he was already talking to other women, and this was a proven fact. He was already talking to women, but we were doing this thing where y'all know how it be. like baby mamas and baby daddies, like y'all, it's always this on and off thing where y'all together but y'all not together, but you know, whatever. So he was doing his own thing. So in my mind, like, what harm is it doing with replying to somebody that's already in my inbox? You know, like it just was what it was. So he saw it or whatever. We got into it. He drew his fist back like he was gonna hit me, and he didn't. Thankfully, my baby was. I think my baby started crying or something, but that should have been my first red flag. And he broke my phone. So it was just this whole thing. Like he pulled a Rashad and Nunu, snatched my necklace off that he got me. Like he just did, like he did the most that night. So that night I just ended up going back home. I let my baby stay the night, and I just went back home. I probably should have just took my baby with me, but he wasn't spending time with my son, so I just let him stay, and so they can have their own personal time. Going on, he's constantly pulling up, he's constantly going through phones and all of this other stuff. I'm trying to think to the first time that he actually hit me, because like it's just been so many instances, and I really can't pinpoint which time it was that he actually hit me or started hitting me. But it was a lot. It happened so often that nobody knew until it was actually like visible, until I couldn't hide anything anymore. So I want to say the first time he hit me was I had just moved out on my own. I was 19, and we were supposed to be staying together, but he ended up not staying there. He ended up coming in and out. He wasn't there consistently. But we were supposed to be staying together. I took him with me to go look at apartments because that was supposed to be a thing we were supposed to be doing together. So I let him pick the apartment for what I don't know, and I ended up I was paying for the apartment or whatever. But he did help. He did help me with the rent or whatever, even though he wasn't there. He did help me with the rent. He just wasn't, there consistent. So him and my brother, they were fine in the beginning, but something happened, and it ended up being friction since then. Like it was so bad. Like it was so bad. So there ended up being friction since then. So I think this particular night it was like a big blowout at his job. I think my brother's girlfriend and my son's dad, they worked at the same job. So my brother was there with his girlfriend, but some other guys pulled up to my son's dad's job. So they work at the same job. So my brother and his girlfriend pulls up to the job with the night that my child's father so happened to be working there. And I guess the group of guys that's into it with my son's dad, they pulled up to my son's dad's job too. My brother just so happened to know the guys. So I guess my son's dad thought that they were together. So my brother and I didn't know none of this was going on until my brother and his girlfriend pulled up to my house. They're telling me what's going on or whatever. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked because it was like a whole blowout. Everybody ended up losing their jobs that day. My brother, girlfriend, and my son's dad. Everybody ended up losing their jobs or whatever. So ended up being a whole thing. So my son's dad, after my brother and his girlfriend left, my son's dad pulls up with his siblings, and I think that was it. So he pulls up to my house, going off, where your brother? So it's this whole thing. I'm fussing at him. You ain't doing that to my brother. You ain't doing that to my brother, or whatever. So we're going back and forth. This whole time. Mind you, my son is here. My son is present. So he ended up telling his he ended up giving my son to his siblings, and they're outside. So my son is outside with his siblings. So it's just me and him going back and forth in the house. So he goes upstairs. Mind you, at this time we're not together. We're like, it wasn't. Well, I don't even know what we was, but I do know he was doing his own thing. So in my mind, if you're doing your own thing, then I should be able to do my own thing. Like no, like we're not doing that. I'm not gonna be sitting in the house looking crazy while you're out here entertaining people, having sex, and doing this other stuff. I'm just not doing that. So he goes upstairs. My phone is upstairs. He goes upstairs to get my phone. He's going through my phone, He's going to my phone. So he comes downstairs, running downstairs. So I already know in my mind he already seen something. But I'm thinking we're just gonna, fuss and we're just gonna get into it. Just gonna be that. But the way he's coming downstairs, it's like he's charging towards me. So he's coming downstairs. He's coming downstairs so fast. Like he was just like, if he could, he probably would have failed if it wasn't for that last step. So he's charging towards me. He punches me in my face. I end up falling back to the chair. So he's still punching. Like he's punching me so hard. Like you know how in them cartoons you can see the stars like circling around. Like I saw that. Like I just saw that. Like it was just so bad. It was just so crazy. I got asthma too. So while he was punching me, I'm fighting back. But I'm not fighting back hard enough because like he's a man. Like he's a man. On top of that, he's like it's rage. Like I don't even think like he knew who I was for real. Like I don't even like it was just that bad. So we getting into it. He ended up hitting me. I ended up getting up. We're fighting. I think he ended up pushing me to the TV. I fell into the TV. I ended up falling to the ground. He still hitting me. He still hitting me. We're loud, so I know people can hear me. So somebody from outside is like coming in like y'all like instead of them breaking it up, they were just like y'all too loud, and they left. So he's still attacking me. So like it was just so bad. I think he ended up taking my son. Like he ended up taking my son, and then he left. I ended up sleeping with a knife that night. Like I ended up sleeping with a knife because he knew how to get into my house. So I slept with a knife that night. Like it was just like that. It was just that crazy. And from then on, it was like a habit. It was a habit to like hit on me. Like that was what it was. Like and like the control got even worse. Like the pop-ups and all this other stuff got even worse. Like it was just so crazy. Like I just remember so many instances where like it just got so bad. But that time, like I didn't tell nobody about that. Like nobody knew about that. But I don't even know. Like I don't even know if it's I don't know. But I knew I didn't tell nobody about it. I didn't tell nobody about it until it got like visible, until you could actually see what was going on. And so that was the very first time it happened. Another time we were in a hotel room. I would get hotel rooms. I was staying with my mom at the time, and it was just like so bad. Like it was just like I was getting into it with her. I was getting into it with my siblings, and it was just like I just needed to go. The house was like anybody and everybody would pop up, and it just wasn't a space that I wanted me and my son to be in. Like not saying like I'm just saying like I just wanted peace. Like I just wanted peace. So on the weekends I would get a room or whatever. So this particular time I get a room. I guess he was mad because I got a room. So instead of him staying at his house, because he had just moved into his own apartment. So instead of him staying at his house, in my job, like I'm flipping around from story to story because I'm trying not to drag it out, like I said, but I'm just trying to give y'all a picture of what this shit has been like, and like what I've actually been through, and like what I know I can do for other women who have been through what I've been through. And so this particular situation, like I said, I got a hotel room just because what I said, and he ends up pulling up to the hotel room. I think I ended up getting my best friend to drop me off. So she dropped me off to the room. Did she drop me off to the room? Yeah, she dropped me off to the room, and then she ended up coming back and bringing me food. So at this time, he had an issue with anybody I was close to. Like my best friend in middle school, he would get into it with her on social media. Like any of my friends, he would get into it with. Like me and one of my other friends, like at the time that I was working at the hospital, I think me and her, we was talking about moving out of town and doing this whole thing. We was talking about moving out of town, doing our own thing or whatever, and I guess he pulled up to my job. That's a whole nother story. So let me go back to the hotel room incident. So he ends up pulling up to the hotel. He's mad. He mad at who dropped me off. He just mad that I got a hotel room. He mad at everything. So we end up getting into it. But it wasn't bad that when he first got there. it wasn't like a big argument when he first got there. We just got into it about, whatever. So I did lie about who dropped me off. Like, I did lie about that because like I knew he don't like none of my friends. Like, anybody who was trying to pour into me, he didn't like that. So we got into it, a little bit. So I did lie because I did lie. He ended up finding out that she did drop me off because he went through my phone. So, but he didn't find it out till the next morning. So the night he came was fine. So the next morning we got into it because I was taking a shower. I think I had just got into the shower, and my son had my phone. My son was probably 3 or 4 at the time. So to keep him occupied, I just gave him my phone while I was in the shower. I wasn't thinking nothing of it because like I really didn't have anything in my phone for real. So I let my son get my phone. I'm in the shower. While I'm in the shower, somebody's busting through the door. And who is it? It's him. So he's busting through the door. Get out the fucking shower. So I get out the shower or whatever. As soon as I got out the shower, it was just like World War III just started going off. Like, it was just so crazy. Like, it was just so bad. Like, he was dragging me across the room, hitting me in my face, like hitting me everywhere. I didn't have any clothes on, so we're getting into it. Like it was just bad. Like, it was just bad. So it was so bad to the point where I guess the downstairs somebody ended up reporting. It was too much noise going on, so the downstairs ended up calling. So I had to pick up, and he wanted me to say that it was my son. So no, I think he picked up the phone. So he told him it was my son jumping around or whatever. He told him he would stop or whatever. So that day, after he got the phone, he went back to start hitting me. So we were he was really in there wrestling. He had my son going to the bathroom. He had my son going to the bathroom before he did any of this, which is like it was just bad. It was just bad. Like, I was so sore. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed and took at least one thing, if any, from this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share us with a friend you know. Follow us on Instagram at FindingHerWayPod, and send us letters or questions to askfhw@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you in the next episode.